Hey guys, today we're going to be talking about adding and subtracting fractions with unlike denominators, meaning the denominators are different. That's where it gets a little scary, right? Because as you know, we can only add or subtract fractions. We can only actually kind of complete that operation if the denominators are the same. But if we're presented with two fractions where they're different, like 2 over 3, or maybe 4 over 7, what do we do? I mean, we can't add them right away because 3 and 7 aren't the same number. But we do something called finding a least common multiple, or you might hear it abbreviated to be LCM. I'm going to go ahead and write that over here. LCM is the least common multiple. Now, as an idea, that means the smallest number that both of these numbers, both of these denominators, are factors of. Now, I'm going to be honest, even being a math teacher myself, trying to come up with a number that both of those are factors of that's smaller than anything else, it's kind of head spinning, right? Like, it can be tough, especially when we get some larger numbers. It's difficult to think about. So I have a strategy to go about finding this least common multiple, or at least a multiple that we can make the denominator that allows us to add or subtract these, even if it's not quite the least one. What I personally like to do is I like to take the denominator here and the denominator here and multiply them. And I realize 3 times 7 is 21, right? So what I have is this least common multiple of 21. I can make each denominator 21, change each fraction, kind of like the reverse of simplifying, make them larger, and then I can add those. So here's how we do it. Once we identify 21, our least common multiple, all we have to do is multiply the top and the bottom of each fraction by the denominator of the opposite fraction. I know this sounds weird, but it works. So the denominator over here is 7. So I'm going to multiply the top and bottom of this fraction by 7. 7 times 2 is 14. 7 times 3 is 21. 14 over 21. Now, if you tried to simplify that fraction, you would end up with 2 over 3 again. Same number, same fraction. It means the same thing. It's just our different way of writing it. And the reason we want to write it like that is because if we multiply each of these numbers by this denominator, multiply 4 by 3 and 7 by 3, then we're going to end up 4 times 3 is 12, 7 times 3 is 21, with, guess what? Like denominators. Denominators that fit that definition of a least common multiple. And now that we have the same denominator, we can go ahead and add these together, which I'm going to do. As you guys probably know, whenever adding fractions, the denominator stays the same, so it's still going to be 21, and the numerators add. 14 plus 12 gets me 26. So my solution here is 26 over 21. I did it. Now, you do sometimes want to make sure this can't simplify. It's possible that after you do this process, you're going to end up with a fraction not in simplest form. Usually it will be, but it's possible that it won't. So always take a look at this and make sure they don't have any factors in common and you can't simplify that fraction any more than it already is. If you need help simplifying a fraction, check out another video here on my channel. I talk all about that. Let's do another example like this. Let's try out another problem. This one will be subtraction, but as you guys know about adding and subtracting fractions, it's practically the exact same process. let's do 4 over 5 times 6 over 9. Not times, my bad. Minus. I said I was going to do subtraction here. So what we want to do to find this least common multiple, to get this denominator in common, I'm just going to skip right to the math. I'm going to take my fraction on the left and multiply the top and the bottom of it by the denominator of my other fraction, the fraction on the right. So times 9 times 9. 9 times 4, that's going to get me 36. And 9 times 5 is going to get me 45. A much bigger, scarier looking fraction, but in reality, the actual same number is 4/5. Over here, think about what I might multiply this fraction by. Exactly, I'm going to multiply it by the denominator of the opposite fraction, 5. So 6 times 5 and 9 times 5. That's going to get me in the top or in the numerator 30, and in the denominator 45. Again, I've successfully made these two problems, or these two fractions, have the same denominator. Let's go ahead and subtract these. 36, the denominator stays the same. We talked about that. And then 36 minus 30 is going to get me 6. Great. 6 over 45. Now you will realize we are able to simplify that fraction. So we probably want to go ahead and do that. Both 6 and 45 are divisible by 3. So let's do that. Again, this is just the process of simplifying that fraction. Not something you're always going to have to do, but it will come up occasionally. And we end up with 6 divided by 3, or 2. 45 divided by 3, 15. And that works for our answer as well. I will say either of these are correct. This one's just in simplest form. This is the process, though, of trying to find a least common multiple and finding like denominators among fractions that aren't alike. If you have any questions about this process, feel free to drop them below and I'll get back with you as soon as I can. Thanks for watching, guys. See you later.